and good day, my fellow travelers and backpackerinos. Welcome to the first ever episode of Around the World at the Speed of Mike. Today, we're going to be talking about the cheapest way to do a full circle around the world trip. It should cost you about $770 US, possibly even less. Firstly, I just want to mention this isn't involving any kind of credit card point schemes or frequent flyer bonus miles. So if you have those, great, it's going to cost you even less. For now, we're just going to use direct purchases on advertised airfare. Also, this isn't done with a official round-the-world ticket from one of the big airline groups like One World or Star Alliance. If you go with one of those official tickets, it's going to cost you at least 2 to 3 times more than the route I'm recommending you do. The way to do this really cheaply is just by booking budget airlines directly on their website or using a regular flight search engine like Kayak or Google ITA. Choosing specific airports and flying in the off-season. With that combination, that's going to get you the cheapest route around the world. So how do you pull this off? Without further ado, number 1. New York to Dublin, Ireland for $89 US on Norwegian Airlines. Keep in mind this is leaving from Stewart International Airport, which is 45 minutes north of New York City. This is the cheapest way across the Atlantic Ocean as far as I know. Leaving from this airport, you can also reach several other European destinations at the same price point as this one. Number 2, Dublin to London for $18 on EasyJet. After having a Guinness and checking out the Leprechaun Museum, head to London. Most budget carriers that fly into London actually go to Gatwick, Stansted, or Luton international airports, which are well outside the city. So if you're just using London as a connection, make sure your in and out are at the same location. Otherwise, getting from one airport to the other is going to cost more than the flights themselves. Really, once you get anywhere in Europe, flying on Ryanair, EasyJet, Wizz, or any of the other budget airlines, you should be able to get anywhere on the continent for the cheapest $10 to $20. Number 3. London to Singapore for $232 on Norwegian Air again. Norwegian is easily the cheapest long-haul budget carrier you're going to find. I haven't flown this to Singapore route myself, but I have done Norwegian's Bangkok to Stockholm flight, which was $165 US. The plane was brand new and had self-tinting windows. The only drawback is it was a 12-hour flight, meals weren't included, so make sure to bring a snack, you cheap bastard. Number 4. Singapore to Hong Kong for $74 US on AirAsia. You can probably actually find this flight for cheaper at around $50 to $60 US. I just happened to wait to the last minute, so ideally you should get your flights 1 to 2 months beforehand. An alternative to flying into Singapore is traveling by train or bus to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, which is pretty close. That's where AirAsia is based, and that's where all your cheapest flights in Asia are going to originate. Likewise, instead of flying directly into Hong Kong, you can fly to neighboring Macau, which is a former Portuguese colony. It's basically Asia's Las Vegas. Definitely a good place to visit. It's a $30 ferry ride to Hong Kong from Macau. If it ends up being cheaper or the same price, it's worth it for sure. Number 5. Hong Kong to San Francisco for $268 on Delta. You're kind of at a loss finding a non-stop trans-Pacific budget carrier that flies directly over the Pacific. AirAsia is working on it, but for now you're kind of at the mercy of the big airlines on this. You just kind of have to get lucky searching for a good deal. I happened to find this Delta one. I thought it was awesome. If you find something similar, just grab it. Number 6. San Francisco to New York for $90 on United, American, any of them. It doesn't matter. I found that price on Kayak. You can too if you're lucky. San Francisco itself is expensive. I've been there multiple times, so I just used this flight as a connection. If it's your first time, make sure to check out Fisherman's Wharf. Head over the Golden Gate Bridge. If you like nature, see Muir Wood. It's nice and close by. Once you're all done and back in New York, congratulations, you just flew around the entire planet. So that's 6 flights spanning 6 destinations to 5 countries for about $771 US. That's a pretty good deal. I've flown all these airlines myself, I've done all the routes or their equivalents, so I know the prices are legit and the airlines themselves are decent. However, I should mention that I searched or booked all these in January 2018, so by the time you try to do the same, it might be cheaper or more expensive based on currency exchange rates and the addition or deletion of airline routes. With a little more research, you can probably get this trip for even cheaper than I did. If you book on the right days, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or just have due diligence and be lucky enough to find when the airlines are having sales. My last round the world trip that I just did cost twice as much as the one I'm recommending, but I went to more than twice as many countries. If you'd like more information on that, exactly how I did it, check out the rest of my videos at Around the World at the Speed of Mike.